I listened to you guys, and you were talking about exploring your own beliefs, and that's really cool because most people don't. My question is, animals and like babies that are not influenced by other people, or like especially babies, not animals, but they're not atheists.
What are they?
Exactly. That's my question to you. Let's explore that.
Okay, sure. So what is atheism to you? Let's agree on terms.
That's a way to start.
Okay. Atheism to me is the opposite of theist, which is religion.
Okay, so theism is the claim that a God exists, right?
Right.
And so if we were talking about, what we were before, the negation of that claim is,
atheism.
Well, it's, atheism. It's the negation of theism. And I know Steve's going to blow up again, but it's true. At least for the purposes of this conversation, that's the way that we're defining these terms, right? So I'm not saying no gods exist. What I'm saying, the statement that, a God exists, I'm rejecting it because I don't think it lives up to the evidence.
But the only reason you're rejecting it is because of the premise that God exists.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think if there were no...
Let's imagine you were incapable of understanding that God existed, like you were an animal.
Okay.
Or a baby that never was never heard of God, it just wouldn't be a thing to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so if you don't understand the proposition, you can't accept it. So you would be all of those things.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, but you wouldn't be atheist because you have to, you just defined it for me. You see what I'm saying?
So do you think that
atheism is religion, basically not anti-religion, but negate rejecting the belief.
Just to clarify, do you think that something that doesn't have the capacity for belief, does that make it?
We all don't have the capacity. I think we all don't have the capacity. I think that I believe in evolution, okay? And let me just tell you where I lie. I'm not a religious person.
I do want to make a quick correction because I spoke out of turn.
Okay, sorry.
It's not just atheism that I was describing. I was talking about skepticism too. You do have atheists who believe some wacky shit. Atheism is just not accepting the proposition that a God exists. Now, really quickly, before you jump into it, I do want to preface with this. You are everything you don't understand, right? You don't accept those things because you don't even understand those things to accept them, right? I'm an Bigfootist. I'm an right?
This is where I wanted to go.
Okay.
And so,
but based off of the first definition you gave me, that's not what you just said.
That's why I corrected.
The first definition, you said, okay. Well, you see, but that's what I want to talk about. You did correct it, but the fact that you had to correct it,
You're right.
See what I'm saying?
I do, and it can be confusing because we talk about atheism and we talk about skepticism and we talk about being a secular humanist, and those things can be confusing. If you're talking about atheism, it only has to do with the God claim, whether or not a God exists, or whether that God exists.
But let's say you don't even have the
brain negation.
You don't even have the brain capacity. I think this is what I think. All right, I believe very strongly in evolution. I think we all come from a common ancestor, okay? And I think, look, I don't want to curse on this show, right? But we eat like animals, we defecate like animals, we give birth let's not even say.
Hey man, I defecate like a king.
I don't know about you, but I shit like a king, and I can fuck like one too. You can say cuss words, it's okay.
You get my point. Look, I don't have to get into detail. You get my point, right?
Yeah.
And we have a common belief that religious people just believe that we're not animals. We can't be. We're better. We're the chosen people. God
depends on your religion, but yeah.
Hold on. The chosen people?
Yeah.
Come on. The
No, come on. Really? You can't oh, come on. We're the chosen people. No, who the fuck chose us?
Dude, everybody, all religious people act like that. You know what I'm saying?
No, I thought you were saying we are the chosen people. I was like, who chose it? Okay.
Atheists are the chosen. No. Atheists are some of the most down-to-earth, rational people. You know, there's a lag between the video feed and the thing. So like, I'm trying to like, you know, sync myself. But my point is this, right? You already know what I'm saying. We have the same composition as animals, right?
I would say we are animals.
Yeah.
We are animals. There we go. But like, if you go to a religious person and you say that, they're gonna be like, no, we're not.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
What's your point,
right?
though?
Okay. My point is, if animals are incapable of like even having the idea of what God is, and we're just a little bit above an animal, so we can create the idea of a God, but it means we can never know what is really out there.
So here's what I would say. I'm not sure that animals would have the ability to have the same constructs that we do about God. They very well could, especially some primate species, and they're just not able to express that or communicate that to us. It could very well be possible that they have some sort of spiritual, supernatural, godlike construct, and they're just unable to verbalize with it. So I wouldn't go so far as to say that it's not even within their capacity. And we also have to understand, you know, through an anthropological lens, other hominid species that were around before, you know, Homo sapiens. If we're talking about Neanderthals,
But,
I think it's very well possible that they could have had.
Let me tell you, Larry, my problem with that is, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying it's hard to prove what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's why I wouldn't make the claim. I wouldn't say either or.
Right.
Yeah.
So
right. But like, look, I get what you're saying, and this is what I mean. I want to explore the idea. I just have one question.
Okay.
There's no answer to that. There's no answer to that question. Okay. And I understand that, and I think you guys are doing an amazing job with your community and your open-mindedness, because like that's what made me call.
Cool.
You know what I'm saying? That's what made me call, because I had this burning question in my head, and I was just like, you know what? If I talk to a religious person about this, they'll just be like, you know, it's the spirit, it's the spirit of the Holy Ghost or some bullshit, right? And and I don't believe, you know what I mean? And they would just try to recruit me. But if I talk to an atheist about it, they would actually explore the idea with me. And look, there's no answers. All right, I believe that we are too. I believe that we are like.
So hold on, Ben.
Right. Okay.
Hold on just a second. So let's bring this back a little bit, because there's a larger point that I don't think we tagged on, right? Whether or not a God exists is either a true or false thing. It doesn't matter what we think. It's not true for some people. It doesn't matter what you believe or what you feel is spiritually or emotionally or whatever important to you. Either one exists or one doesn't. And so we can make claims and test those claims. We can look at things that people say about the world around them, and as long as they believe in a God that affects the world around them, then we can test those claims. And if those claims do not come out true, we can say this was not true. If your God, if apparently your God, was empowering psychic healers to be able to reach into people's bodies and pull out toxins, and you were able to show that those people were con artists, which they have been shown, right? Then you can say that God, the one who is empowering these con artists, is obviously not real, right? And that is not up to debate. It's just factually not fucking true, right?
Right.
And so when you're saying, oh, well, it could be this or it could be that, I just want to empower you to go, you know what? If you are making a claim about the world that you're living in, it is either true or it's not true. It doesn't matter how it makes you feel. And if somebody says, oh, well, it just works for me, well, then obviously they don't care about what's real about the world. And
the problem is, I think the problem is thinking like that. Okay, it's too scientific. All right, I don't want to be mean about it. It's just too scientific. Like there's more than one. There's so many variables, right?
Like what?
There's so many variables in every aspect of life, right? In every aspect. I'm trying to be general because, all right, but let's look at it. Let's look at it like, let's be very scientific, all right? Let's say that we're living in a giant quantum computer.
Okay.
Okay? What you just said does not apply to that. Because if you know anything about quantum computers, there's something called superposition.
Yeah, you're making the solipsism argument, right? The hard solipsism argument.
The hard what?
It's called hard solipsism. You know, do we exist in the matrix? Do we exist in the mind of another being? Right.
I'm not touching on all of that, but can you just say it again so I can write it?
Sure.
Hard solipsism.
Hard solipsism.
IP.
IP? Oh, you're right. SOLIPS.
SOLIP.
Solipsism. SISM.
Okay, I'll get the rest. I'm pretty sure autocorrect will get me.
Yeah,
all right, I get what you're saying. Like, you know, there's a bunch of people that say like, oh, are we in assimilation because
yeah. It's
blah, blah, blah.
Well, you know, and it's an interesting avenue to go down. My response to that, though, is we still need to live in the world that we're living in, right? You can take or not take it, right? Well, because it can't be proven wrong, because it is virtually indistinguishable from the world that we're living in that doesn't have it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so until you can show that this, you know, simulation world and, you know, a world that's not in a simulation, if you can point out a difference that we can test, then we can say something about it.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, it's just extra fluff.
Right. Well, that which is outside of empirical investigation is outside of the realm of purview of science, pretty much. So you would be right in the sense that there might be a world out there that we can't test through science, but if it doesn't affect us right here in the real world, then I don't know if we need to worry about it until we're given reason to worry about it.
Look, 90% of what people believe does not matter. Okay, 90%. Like, for example, look, if you believe we live in a simulation, does it affect?
Yes, because if you believe you live in a simulation and you can do whatever you want, you might start killing people. So that does matter. Yeah, I would say that it does.
If you all right, okay, that's true. You have a point. But, like, what I mean is, like, for example, does it hurt you to see someone believing in Jesus Christ?
Yes.
No.
It does.
It does?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say so. Yes.
Does it hurt you to see someone believing in Santa Claus?
So there are very big differences between Jesus and Santa Claus, and I'll tell you exactly what those differences are, Ben. The difference is nobody in Santa's name murdered another person.
Right.
Right?
Okay, that's true.
And nobody in Santa's name goes to the ballot box to take rights away from other people, do they?
That's true.
Right? Nobody
That's true. I get what
fights
you're saying.
to say that if you don't believe in Santa, you need to get out of this country, right?
Kids, all right.
That's why it's
kids
important.
Do fight. But kids do fight over Santa Claus, all right? But look, my point is...
And it is childish to fight over whether or not, so I agree with you there.
Right. No, I agree with you guys on what you're saying, but I'm not trying to touch on this. Look, what I mean is that it doesn't affect me if someone believes something crazy, okay? Like, it can be anything. You know, that's all I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to hit on is the idea of superposition, not are we living in a simulation? Because to me, personally, it doesn't matter. Because even if this is as real as it can ever be, and it's a simulation, and, you know, ancestor theories about that stuff, all that crap, it doesn't matter. Because this is what's real for me.
Well,
right? So does it, you know, right. But what I'm trying to touch on is quantum computers and superposition. Because you said that it's either true or not true. But superposition changes when it's observed. You can only look at it when it's, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not one or the other. It's the gray area, pretty much. You know,
and it's incredibly interesting to study, isn't it?
Exactly. And
now here's what you do. Here's what you do when you don't know.
Right.
You say I don't know. But you don't use I don't know to invalidate things that you do know. You just say I don't know about the things you don't know. That way you're allowing yourself to learn about those things in the future.
So you should change what you said from it's true or false to it's true, false, and I don't know. You see what I mean?
Well,
that's a matter of beliefs. There's a difference between talking about what we believe to be true or false and what is actually true or false, right? Because I don't know isn't a point in reality that we can kind of point to that more describes about our understanding of it.
Yeah, I mean, so I can tell you it's raining outside or it's not raining outside, right? If you say I don't know, I'm going to look at what you do when you walk out the door. If you bring an umbrella, you obviously chose one of those two, right? You need to live in one of those places.
Yeah.
Right?
My point is kind of more so like if you're saying I don't know, then that doesn't actually describe reality in any way. That just describes your beliefs about reality. It doesn't make a claim about reality itself, right? So
that's true. Yeah. That's a really good point.
I get what you guys are saying, and trust me. Look, I agree. Okay, and like, it's not like I'm not attacking at all. It's just, like you guys said this in your last talk, and it was that people fight over terms, and people never agree. People are usually talking about two different things and trying to understand what the other person's saying, but it's hard to when, you know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. I'm a little caught up with the sound in the background. I'm having trouble following you.
Sorry.
That's okay.
It's my fault.
No, that's all right. I should have interrupted you and told you, can you move? That's
no, I'm sorry about
rather
that.
newbie
I
of me.
Close my window. Yeah, I just had to close my window. But my point is, I agree with you what you guys are saying. It's just, I know that, okay, there's things that you can prove, there's things that you cannot prove. But the things that you cannot prove, and I mean that with like evidence or, it's unprovable, it doesn't mean that it's improbable.
And
right?
the best thing to do is to say, I don't know.
I don't know. Exactly. So when it comes to religion, what's your answer?
Oh, well, because that's totally different, because you can make religious claims that are empirically verifiable. So we can, if I'm telling Eric, look, if you do this, if you put this holy water every time, you'll never get this certain disease or something, right? Like if I said this looks like a vaccine, basically, and then he gets that disease, then we can demonstrate that holy water doesn't work for that specific disease, right? So that's a specific claim that I'm making, and tons of religions do make very specific claims like that, and that's what we're really, really against for the most part, because we don't want people to get hurt, and that's why we say, look, like these beliefs, they do inform our actions, and they do tell us how to live our lives to a certain extent, and that's what we want to fight against, because we can show that that's not true, at least empirically.
Hear, hear. Yeah. Damn, that was well said. Yes.
Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah. I don't think you guys have a problem with religion. I think you have a problem with the symptoms, that are religious.
I have a problem with people believing things that are demonstrably not true.
And I have a problem with people having poor epistemology. I have a problem if you have a tool in your toolbox for deciphering the world around you, and that tool does not work. I have a problem with that. I want to help you to either get a better tool or at least throw the one that's not working out, right? And that is specifically about religion, and it's, do you think
I feel like I'm really holding up the line, and I'm sorry that, I had my window open and stuff, and, just neighbors. But my point is this, my point is, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? You can't change what people believe, can you?
Yeah, you totally can.
Dan sitting next to me.
Again, I was a former evangelist.
Okay, let's say.
I changed. I was a former evangelist in college. I was in college ministry. I totally changed my mind through conversations with people. So yeah, you totally can.
Yeah, you can actually watch it on video.
Yeah. So
you can.
Right, but can you change everyone in the world's mind?
No, that's an interesting question. And I would actually say no. I don't think that every single person is capable of, and it also depends on which kind of beliefs we're talking about changing as well.
Right.
If we're talking about, can we make the whole world atheist, which I don't even know if we exactly want that. I'd rather have a world that thinks critically rather than just atheist, right? But then I would say maybe not. Maybe there are people who do not have the capacity to change. Do I believe that the vast majority of people do? Yes. And I think that we can demonstrate that as well. I just think we need to find the right methods and the right ways to go about doing that so that we have the most effective change for the net positive for our society. And a part of that change is being on shows like this and talking to people like you who are interested in this. So, yeah.
I am interested.
And this call was fantastic. I loved being able to talk about it and loved being able to flush out the differences, because some of those things seem so nebulous and people get lost in the way. And it's important to be able to make those distinctions and say, you know what, no, it is important for this reason. Why is it important? Can you change somebody's mind? These are really awesome things to talk about, and I'm really glad that you called in and asked them. Thank you.
Well, I have one more question.
Okay, what do you got?
Before I go, and I feel really bad because I'm going to go back into the YouTube and try to see how bad I sounded.
Oh, dude, I do it every week.
It just kept getting louder. I didn't even notice, and I was so into this, and I was just like, but last question.
What do you got?
Do you think animals or babies or people that don't have any foundation of religion or know what any of that is, do you think they're atheists? What do you think they are?
Dan, what do you got? And then I'll answer.
Okay, so what I would say is...
Give me the best argument, and then you can get rid of me.
If we're defining atheism as a lack of belief in God, then yes, all of those things have a lack of belief in God. Whether or not they have the capacity to believe or not doesn't matter. If we're just using the definition, you know, a lack of belief in God, then yes. Sure. And I don't have a problem with that. It really doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Ben, I'm going to give you the last word, and then I'm going to give my answer off after we hang up.
He makes a good point. But like he said the same thing that I was thinking. Like, look, he said basically, if you believe that atheism is a lack of belief in God, then yeah, sure. But if atheism, if they even have the capacity to believe in God in the first place, then no, they're not atheists. They're something else. And what do you call that?
Maybe.
You don't have a word for it.
Maybe. They still lack a belief.
Yeah. So
whether they have the capacity or not, they still lack the belief. So I think the definition still applies.
Okay.
Right?
Well, I'm making a liar out of myself because now I want to respond. So here's the thing. When religion stops being important to people the way it's important right now, then the word atheist is going to be a nonsense word. Just like a Bigfootist when we were talking before, or a pixieist, or a whatever else you want to throw out there. You know, things that you don't accept as true are generally not something that you define yourself by. But it's because religion is so incredibly prevalent, especially where we're at in Texas.
Yeah.
You know that
you have to define. You have to define
by what you're not, and that is really weird. And I want to live in a world, and I think I speak for both of us when I say we want to live in a world where the word atheist becomes a meaningless nonsense word, because eventually religion will be meaningless and nonsense. People will reject it, and then all of a sudden we're going to have to find something else to do, and I'm totally okay with that.
I think it's already happening. I hope
so. I hope so.
It's happening, but it's not just a natural progression. It happens because we got people doing the dirty work.
Having conversations like we're having with you.
Yeah.
I don't even think you need people to do the dirty work. Like, I get it.
I disagree.
Yeah.
I disagree. If Anthony Magnabosco didn't talk to me 3 years ago, I wouldn't be here on Talk Heathen right now.
And actually, the next call that we're going to take is a pretty tough one. So I'm going to let that response.
It was nice talking to you guys. You guys are doing an amazing job.
Thank you, man. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks.
You can't force. No, it's great. You can't force people to think, but you can get them to start questioning.
Yes.
Rock on.
That's
and we're going to leave off with that. Take care, buddy.
Yeah.
Right. There we go.
It was a great conversation. I love that. Good stuff.